story that's broke from The Guardian yesterday that there is a relegation release clause of £30 million in his contract. That's just a straight clause that anybody could enact. So essentially, anyone can buy him for £30 million is the story. 3 bylines on that, which tells you that a fair bit of work's gone into it. Very quickly kind of backed up by Fabrizio Romano on Twitter. Sky Sports News then did it as a breaking news story as well, saying that their sources backed it up. So, I think I'm pretty confident that there's, it will be pretty close to the truth. Again, the devil will be in the detail, which we can discuss in a minute. But that is a kind of figure I'd heard bandied about for a little while. Never quite enough on it for us to kind of run it to get through our kind of multi-source system. But quite clearly, it's a lot less money than Ipswich could get in an open market at the moment, and I can understand why people are disappointed by it.
And also, as part of that, there's reports of a 20% sell-on clause as well, isn't there, Stewie? So that reduces the amount of money that Town make.
It does, but it's worth mentioning on sell-on clauses. And again, I don't know the exact details of this, but a sell-on clause might be based on profit. So sometimes the percentage sell-on is based on profit. So if he goes for 30 and Ipswich bought him for 20, that would be 20% of 10 million, which is £2 million rather than a straight 20% of 30 million, which is, do the math, 6. So there'll be all I know is, and I hope I'm not breaking sort of too many confidences here with Mark Atchison, but there was more of an off the record chat around it, and he did tell me that it was a very, very complicated deal to do last summer. Craig Bellamy, the Wales manager, has been on Sky as a pundit this week, and he kind of alluded to it that he made an inquiry as Burnley manager after they just got relegated. He was kind of acting Burnley head coach after Company left, and he inquired about Delap and was told, no, he's going for big money. But they were told, basically, this is the terms of the deal. Basically, take it or leave it. They knew that there'd be several interested parties. Some will have been put off by some of these clauses, and others, like Ipswich, obviously decided to go for it. And that's the risk you take, isn't it? That you think, well, if he does brilliantly, then we'll have to just take it. But it's easy to say in hindsight. But did anyone see Liam Delap doing what he's done this year to that degree? Probably not.
Well, Ross did, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's a fair point, isn't it? We're all talking about Liam Delap being worth all this money and what a fantastic player, and all these teams think, but no one was really saying that at the start of the season, were we? I mean, none of us, I think, maybe apart from Ross, picked him even to be leading scorer. And we weren't even sure he's going to be the starting striker, were we? Or indeed where he's going to play. So, again, there's a lot of hindsight going into this. Just on this, though, Rossi, obviously we're going to do mailbag in a bit. There is one mailbag question around this from Jason Broadhurst on Blue Sky. Thoughts on the Delap release clause? He says, personally would be disappointed to see him go at that amount, especially with the sell-on too. So, as Hugh says, it's potentially complicated around the sell-on clause and that kind of stuff. But let's just take it at face value. He goes for 30 million. 6 million of that then goes back to Man City. So in the end, Town have sold him for 24 million. So they've made 9 million on him in a year. But clearly, as Hugh says, in the open market, the free market that Donald Trump's such a fan of, Town could have made a lot more money without those kind of clauses in the contract. So what's your reaction to that?
Yeah, even though I joke about, I sort of saw this coming, Liam Delap being absolutely unbelievable for Town in the Premier League. I didn't think he was going to maybe score 12 goals, because obviously this team, normally the goals get shared about. We normally don't have a striker scoring all those goals. And obviously that's when a lot of people go, oh, wow, we could sell him for 50, 60. Of course, he's an Englishman.
Yeah.
And a lot of English players go for a lot of money, Harry Maguire and the rest. So, yeah, I understand that obviously there's a lot of Town fans out there not happy because, we're not making much at all for him, to be honest. But it's the dangerous game you play when you sign players from Man City and those sort of teams, because they always make sure they've got a clause involved because he's young Englishman and he's somebody they're sort of... I think he signed from Derby, so obviously, but he has gone through their academy. But it's one of those where that's the risk you take. And obviously he's just done unbelievable. And obviously we've spoken about him so much, about how he's just pushed on so much this year. He's got better and better, scoring goals. So So yeah, it's sad, but we always knew he's probably going to leave if we got relegated. I think even if we stayed up, there's always that risk, like he may get sold on to somebody else because if money talks.
Stu, sorry, mate.
Sorry, the flip side of the argument is, Ipswich could easily have signed him on loan. Man City could have just said, well, no, we see some value in him. We can send him out on loan again. So, and then you're looking at getting nothing, aren't you? So something's better than nothing. You could have had a lot more. Could anybody have foreseen, the scenario was basically we'll take our chances on if Ipswich are going to get relegated, but you're still making, like you say, best part of £10 million on a player. That's, I suppose you could look at it that way as being good business. And all I'd say on the Ashton protection comment is that there still could be, and I don't know this, there still could be some protection further down the line baked into this relegation clause. There might be, the buying clubs might be obliged to kind of future payments based on England caps, apps, goals, further sell-on clauses, so that, say, Liam Delap, and I think he'll be very careful with who he picks next. I think he's had a taste now of playing week in, week out, and I think he'll want to go to a club where he's got a reasonable guarantee of that happening. So does he take that sort of mid-step next, and say he goes somewhere and then kind of, I don't know, Newcastle, for example, and lights it up there, continues his career, and then in another 1, 2, 3 years' time, he then gets the next mega money move of £100 million. It's not impossible, and Ipswich benefit from that. So that could be where Ashton's talking about, trust me, we're well protected, and he is right to say that they've hopefully kind of earned a bit of trust from the supporter base. But I can understand why the optics of that comment probably don't play out too well against the news that's now come out in the last few days. So we'll see how things unfold. But I'm going to be very interested. It's pretty clear now that Liam Delap's going in the summer. I think we've known that for a while. Where he goes next is going to be very interesting.